absentees. Okay.
We left. I don't remember.
This
Where?
is, you remember, well, in
I
my
have the mark.
edition,
Yes.
it was page 202. This is for
Yes.
Claudia.
You must talk
Mhm.
that way. It's the beginning of the new paragraph. You
Yes,
mustn't talk that way, said
yes,
Sheffield.
Sheffield. Because
Sheffield.
we were saying last time that this was a kind of set of principles that Andrews established when he says before that, I don't think it's right of a man to go back on himself. I don't think butchering people ever does any good. I have acted as if I did think it did good, out of carelessness or cowardice, one or the other. That I think bad. So he establishes the principles against fighting a war. No, that's why Sheffield tells him, you mustn't talk that way. So you are a musician, are you? So remember that he's talking with this man who is a YMCA man who is at the barracks, and in a way, this man is trying to protect him because he says that he is the only one who has certain culture and the one who he can talk to, he can have a conversation with. So Sheffield doesn't want Andrews to speak against war, obviously, no? And so Andrew says, I used to play the piano a little, if that's what you mean. Music has never been the art I had most interest in, but many things have moved me intensely. Debussy and those beautiful little things of Nevin's. You must know them. Poetry has been more my field. When I was young, younger than you are, quite a lad. Oh, if we could only stay young. I am 32. So imagine, he feels he's old and he's 32. I don't see that youth by itself is worth much. So Andrews, as you see, is a bit embittered, I would say. No, he's contradicts everything that Sheffield says. So he says, I must go. If you do hear anything about that university scheme, you will let me know, won't you? Indeed I shall, dear boy, indeed I shall. Because Andrews, his only interest is to escape from the barracks. He wants to go to Paris to study. And that's why he wants to learn. There is this program for American soldiers who have not finished their studies that could go to Paris to study. So Andrews wants to be a part of that program. Well,
Maybe it exists, that program, no?
yes, I
Is it
imagine it
possible?
existed. Yes, no, of course. It
The
existed.
soldiers that decided to stay there studying
To stay there studying. That was the only possibility for Andrews to escape this slavery, as he called it, no? Because for him, this is
Yes.
slavery. Okay. Then he talks about the regimental office, yes, where the authorities are, no? The regimental office was a large room that had once been decorated by one and ill-drawn mural paintings in the manner of Puvis de Chavannes, but the walls had been so chipped and soiled by 5 years of military occupation that they were barely recognizable. This is another problem of the war, no? The destruction of the old buildings and the museums and the cathedrals, Only a few bits of bare flesh and floating drapery showed here and there above the maps and notices that were tacked on the walls. At the end of the room, a group of nymphs in Nile green and pastel blue could be seen emerging from under a French war loan poster. So you see the mixture, no? The posters of the war, the maps of the war, and the beautiful paintings on the walls, no? The ceiling was adorned with an oval of flowers and little plaster cupids in low relief, which had also suffered, and in places showed the laths. The office was nearly empty. The littered desks and silent typewriters gave a strange air of desolation to the gutted drawing room. Andrews walked boldly to the furthest desk, where a little red card leaning against the typewriter said, Regimental Sergeant Major. Behind the desk, crouched over a heap of typewritten reports, sat a little man with scanty sandy hair, who screwed up his eyes and smiled when Andrews approached the desk. Well, did you fix it up for me? He asked. Fix what? Said Andrews. Oh, I thought you were someone else. The smile left the regimental sergeant major's lips. What do you want? Why, Regimental Sergeant Major, can you tell me anything about a scheme to send enlisted men to colleges over here? Can you tell me who to apply to? According to what general orders, and who told you to come and see me about it anyway? Have you heard anything about it? No, nothing definite. I'm busy now anyway. Ask any of your own non-coms to find about it. So you see that Andrews is rejected everywhere he goes. He wants to know about this program and nobody tells him. So Andrew
Well, but this is a critic to the army too, no?
Of course.
Because they are sitting there without nothing to do and
they are not ready to help others, no? Because
no, they are boring. It's
yes,
terrible, no?
Terrible. And this is why the impatience in the case of Andrews grows and grows and grows, because he cannot find an answer.
Yes.
So Andrews was walking towards the door, flashing with annoyance, when he saw that the man at the desk by the window was jerking his head in a peculiar manner, just in the direction of the regimental sergeant major and then towards the door. So there is a man sitting there who shows him with his head, yes, where to go. So Andrew smiled at him and nodded. Outside the door, where an orderly sat on a short bench reading a torn Saturday Evening Post, Andrews waited. The hall was part of what must have been a ballroom. Yes, remember that this is kind of a castle where they are, no? So again, he can see the cupids, yes, the clouds painted on the walls, heavy garlands of flowers, yes. So all the decoration of the place, no? So
like in a hospital.
Like in the hospital, exactly. Say, are you a Kappa Mu? Andrews looked down suddenly and saw in front of him the man who had signaled to him in the regimental sergeant major's office. Are you a Kappa Mu? He asked again. No, not that I know of, stammered Andrews, puzzled. What school did you go to? Harvard. Well, I sent you the information about Kappa Mu, which is a group of people who studied mathematics. Yes, I sent you the information about this. So, of course, Andrews is not a member of the Kappa Mu because he's a musician. Harvard, guess we haven't got a chapter there. I'm from Northwestern. Anyway, you want to go to school in France here if you can? So do I. Don't you want to come and have a drink? The man frowned, pulled his overseas cap down over his forehead where the hair grew very low, and looked about him mysteriously. Yes, he said. So now Andrews had found somebody who also wants to go to the university.
Yes. Who had the same idea, no?
Yes, the same idea. And who is this man? Walters. He tells him, we've got 13 minutes before tattoo. My name's Walters. What's yours? Andrews. Andrews, you've got to keep this dark, so don't tell anybody. If everybody finds out about it, we are through. It's a shame you are not a Kappa Mu, but college men have got to stick together. That's the way I look at it. Oh, I'll keep it dark enough. It's good to be true. The general order isn't out yet, but I've seen a preliminary circular. What school do you want to go to? Sorbonne, Paris. That's the stuff. Do you know the back room at Baboon's? Walters turned suddenly to the left up an alley and broke through a hole in a hawthorn hedge. A guy's got to keep his eyes and ears open if he wants to get anywhere in this army. So this Walters is this type of person who looks for his own good, you know, our typical buscavidas, yes? So he
Buscavidas,
goes,
exactamente, estaba pensando esa
claro,
palabra.
he goes to this restaurant, if we can call it a restaurant, through the hawthorn hedge, ¿no? Se pasa por un, por una, ¿cómo se dice?
Lebustrina, ¿no?
Un cerco.
Como un cerco. Ahí está, un cerco, ¿sí? So they enter this place, and there is a red-faced girl with a baby in her arms. That's Babette. Baboon, I call her, said Walters. Chocolate, said Walters. That suits me all right. It's my treat, remember. So Andrews is inviting him, yes? I'm not forgetting it. Now let's get to business. What you do is this. You write an application. I'll make that out for you on the typewriter tomorrow. You meet me here at 8 tomorrow night, and I'll give it to you. You sign it at once and hand it to your sergeant. See, this will just be a preliminary application. When the order's out, you'll have to make another. So, you see, this Walters is going to help him. Well, then give me a cigarette, will you? You'll have to make it, no, they are talking about the application, to make out darn soon too, because once the order's out, every son of a gun in the division will be making out to be a college man. How did you get your tip? From a fellow in Paris. You've been to Paris, have you? You remember the one who told him was the Henslow, the one who wants to travel all the way or, around all the world, yes?
Yes.
He was the one who told him, yes, that there was this program. Okay. It is the way they say it is, Guy. These French are immoral. Look at this woman here. She'll sleep with a fellow soon as not. Got a baby too. But who do the applications go into? So the Walters is talking about the French and the women, but
Andrews está con la idea fija.
Claro, he only wants to know about the application. But who do the applications go into? To the colonel or whoever he appoints to handle it. You a Catholic? No, neither am I. That's the hell of it. The regimental sergeant major is. So you see the possibility, if you are a Catholic, you have more possibilities. I guess you haven't noticed the way things run up at divisional headquarters. It's a regular cathedral. Isn't a Mason in it, but I must beat it. Better pretend you don't know me if you meet me on the street, see? All right. Walters hurried out of the door. Andrew sat alone looking at the flutter of little flames about the pile of sticks on the hearth, while he sipped chocolate from the warm bowl held between the palms of both hands. He remembered the speech out of some very bad romantic play he had heard when he was very small. About your head I fling the curse of Rome. He started to laugh, sliding back and forth on the smooth bench which had been polished by the breeches of generations warming their feet at the fire. The red-faced woman stood with her hands on her hips, looking at him in astonishment, while he laughed and laughed. So, Michael Gates, she expresses her astonishment at the way he laughed. Why is he laughing? Because in the previous, some paragraphs before, he was anxious, angry, and now he's laughing because he has found a way out, no? Well, the straw under him rustled faintly.
He has some hope.
He has hope, yes. He wants to escape. This is, clearly his objective. The straw under him rustled faintly with every sleepy movement Andrews made in his blankets. In a minute, the bugle was going to blow, and he was going to jump out of his blankets, throw on his clothes, and fall into line again, not fall into line. It couldn't be that only a month had gone by since he had got back from hospital. No, he had spent a lifetime in this village, being dragged out of his warm blankets every morning by the bugle. So this repetition, no, this shuffling in a line, and look at the repetition in the paragraph, shuffling in a line, shuffling along, lining up. So all his activity was to follow what the major or the authorities order him to do, and this repetition, this servitude, to snatch him out of even these miserable thoughts and throw him into an automaton under other men's orders. This is what he feels. He's like, a piece in the machine. Remember the title of the section, no? Machines. Childish, spiteful desire surged into his mind. If the bugler would only die, he could picture him, a little man with a broad face and putty-colored cheeks, a small rusty mustache and bow legs, lying like a calf on a marble slab in a butcher's shop on top of his blankets. What nonsense. So this is true, because when children imagine that they kill somebody they hate, they imagine this cruel death, no? Killing somebody with a knife or things like that. And now he wants to kill the bugler. So he goes on imagining deaths for this bugler, no? And he says, their little brass buglers, a preliminary tap before putting out their cheeks and blowing in them and stealing 1.5 million, or was it 2 million or 3 million lives, and throwing the warm, sentient bodies into coarse automatons who must be kept busy lest they grow restive till killing time began again. You see the repetition of making soldiers like, robots, yes, and they should keep moving till the killing time begins again, which is terrible, no? Well, Corporal Crisfield, remember that Crisfield is a corporal now. He's been promoted. Corporal Crisfield stood on the ladder that led up from the yard, his head on a level with the floor, shouting, "Shake it up, fellers. If a guy's late to roll, call it skippy for a week." As Andrews, while buttoning his tunic, passed him on the ladder, he whispered, "Tell me we are going to see service again, Andy, Army of Occupation," because Crisfield is also desperate to leave this place. He wants to go. They were told that they were going to Germany, you remember, to Berlin. And he wants to move. He wants to go to Berlin. He doesn't want to stay here. While he stood stiffly at attention, waiting to answer when the sergeant called his name, Andrew's mind was whirling in crazy circles of anxiety. What if they should leave before the general order came on the university plan? So he's afraid of being sent to Germany, no? The application would certainly be lost in the confusion of moving the division, and he would be condemned to keep up this life for more dreary weeks and months. Would any years of work and happiness in some future existence make up for the humiliating agony of this servitude? So you see, poor Andrews, no? He's very depressed. He ran up the ladder to fetch his mess kit, and in a few minutes was in line again in the rutted village street where the gray houses were just forming outlines as light crept slowly into the leaden sky, while a faint odor of bacon and coffee came to him, making him eager for food, eager to drown his thoughts in the heaviness of swiftly eaten greasy food and in the warmth of watery coffee gulped down out of a tin curved cup. He was telling himself desperately that he must do something, that he must make an effort to save himself, that he must fight against the deadening routine that numbed him. Yes? I don't know if you could read what I sent you last time, this analysis that I sent you. It was a bit long. But there, the Andrews is shown as an example of passive resistance, no? Because he is against all this, and he, in a way, that's why he's compared with Thoreau. You remember Thoreau, who went to live in the middle of the woods, yes, and he offered to the world this passive resistance, like Gandhi, like Thoreau. He doesn't want to do it, yes, and he's going mad. And that's why this paragraph finishes with the deadening routine that numbed him, yes. He feels he's been annulled, destroyed by this situation. Later, while he
For
was...
me, it's very interesting because we never thought in this problem of the soldiers, no?
No.
We thought in fight, in the terrible things of the war, but this is terrible too, no? Is to be part of the machine,
Yes.
to do nothing.
And that's why critics say that this novel is greater than other war novels.
Because it's the first one to deal with this, no?
Yes.
Yes.
Because
it's very
Dos Passos
difficult.
deals with the problem, or I mean the psychology of the soldiers. Yes, what they suffer by being like, pieces of a machine. It's not the war, because we don't see a battle, I mean, only a little one.
Yes, this is a part, no? But this doing nothing is terrible.
Yes, and the other novels, the other war novels in general deal with death, with the bombs, with explosions.
Yes.
With action.
Battles and so on, no?
Exactly.
Yes.
But
this is another view about the war, no?
Yes, completely. And that's why Dos Passos is so great, because he dealt with this aspect, no, of them, what happens to the different soldiers. Because remember, we saw Fuseli, who was also disappointed. He was full of excitement and full of courage. And then he was completely disappointed, and he stayed cooking because he didn't want to take part in the real war. Crisfield also with his ire problems, because he went mad and he reacted violently and he couldn't control his anger. And so finally he is promoted, but he didn't do anything valuable, and he knew it. I mean, he knows that he is incapable of doing something good, because he had killed Anderson, and then he captured an enemy, who was mad. I mean, and so all of them have very serious psychological issues.
Yes.
No?
I saw an exhibition now at the Tate Britain with an artist who I didn't know, but he his drawing about the first war. And it was exactly because we thought that we can see the battles. No, are the soldiers boring in a bureaucracy, but it's very terrible. And I remember now it's exactly this.
How
this
interesting,
idea.
no? How interesting.
Yes, it's a very interesting exhibition.
And what a coincidence that you could go now and while we are reading this, no? Okay. Very. They are drawings or paintings?
No, drawing. Very nice drawing, but very sad, but not exactly sad.
Depressing.
Boring and oppressive and
Yes. And this is the feeling that the novel transmits, no? This question
exactly.
Yes, oppression, slavery. Yes, good. Well, so
¿Qué pasó?
when he was smearing windows with soap from a gritty sponge along the endless side of the barracks in the training camp, So you remember when at the beginning he was
Yes, cleaning.
cleaning the windows. Now he remembers.
Yes, cleaning the windows all day.
All day. And time and time again in the past year, he had thought of it and dreamed of weaving it into a fabric of sound which would express the trudging monotony of days bowed under the yoke. So
we said in Argentina about the army, hacer nada pero temprano.
Claro.
It is true, ¿no?
It is true. Yes.
Yes. The rules without
following
sense
rules and yes. And probably what happened here, you remember with this soldier, Carrasco, you remember all the problems with all the ill treatment of soldiers when they make them, jump and run and they are exhausted and perhaps that is also shown here, no? The orders that they receive and that they have to follow are, without a sense, without an objective, kind of mad, no?
It's like a punishment, doing something without sense. No?
Yes, it is. It is. Especially for somebody like Andrew.
Yes, for somebody with a sensibility or...
Yes.
Sensibility, no, with the...
Yes, but he has this, music sensitivity. And that's why when he's cleaning, that's why it says here, he dreamed of weaving it into a fabric of sound, which would express the drudging monotony of days bowed under the yoke. So he's always thinking of music, no? How to make a piece of music out of this. And the title, it would be Under the Yoke, Bajo el Yugo, no?
Yes.
El título de la obra, yes. He imagined the sharp tap of the conductor's baton, the silence of the crowded hall, the first notes rasping bitterly upon the tense ears of men and women. But as he tried to concentrate his mind on the music, other things intruded upon it, blurred it. He kept feeling the rhythm of the Queen of Sheba. Yeah? So his music, the famous opera he wants to make, the Queen of Sheba, no? And it all muddled into fantastic gibberish, into sounds of horns and trombones and double basses blown off key, while a piccolo shrilled the first bars of the Star-Spangled Banner. This is the national anthem for the...
Yes.
No, so he mixes up the music in his mind with the American anthem. No, so I don't know if you saw yesterday a woman who was singing the anthem in front of in a stadium no, you didn't see it, for an important